so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. Here we go again. So grateful to be here with you all, as always, in all ways. So today we're going to address some questions from some listeners. Some lovely P-heads out there have written in with some things that I felt are worthy of discussion. Before we jump into that, I would like to take a moment and read a review by the lovely Tatiana 2890. And you guys know I love my reviews on iTunes. If you haven't had a chance to give me some love on iTunes, please do so. It definitely fuels my fire to continue this labor of love, and helps us to reach new people in the process. So you get good karma points. I checked it out. I consulted with all the higher beings, ascended masters, et cetera. They all confirmed that you will get good karma. So let's see here. Tatiana 2890 said, was I dreaming or having an out-of-body experience? Hi, Brandon. So I've been listening to the Positive Head podcast for about a week and a half now, and I have to say that I'm addicted. Somehow I stumbled upon this podcast, listened one time, and was immediately hooked. I've been trying to change things in my personal life that I don't like, such as my attitude and how easily I get aggravated by minor things. Oh, I can relate to that one sometimes, Tatiana. I keep listening to how some people have had synchronicity stories and just dream about, and I just dream about mine happening, LOL. So today I am at work getting easily aggravated because of the fact that I really dislike my workplace and some of my coworkers. But since I started listening to you, Brandon, I've been trying to stay positive at all times. That wasn't working out too well today. So in my head, I'm telling myself everything will be okay. Today, you will receive that call, a call from a job I recently applied for, and you will rise above all this. I recently also signed up for Shine Text. I don't know if anyone has heard of them, but basically they send a daily text saying something positive to you. And the text said, however you're feeling, remember, we don't learn from our experiences. We learn by reflecting on them. Process your progress. Oh, I like that. That's a good one. I feel like that was a sign. It really made me feel better. So fast forward, I get out of work, fall asleep, only to experience one of the most bizarre dreams I've ever had because of the fact that I don't really know if it was a dream or I saw this. In my dream, I was dreaming. So I was dreaming about dreaming, LOL. I don't remember exactly what I was dreaming, but I was crying deeply as if I had been so hurt in the dream. But here's the catch. In my dream, I was floating above my bed looking at myself. So in reality, I don't know if I dreamed it or I lived it. And guess what episode I was listening to today? The one that talks about skepticism and not knowing if what you're living is real or not. To finish up, I wake up from this dream, and when I look at my phone, I had an email from the job I'd applied for asking, and they were asking if I was still interested in coming in for an interview. I am beyond happy at this time. Happy that I found you guys. Happy that I'm speaking into existence what I want, and that I'm believing that I have the power to attract what I want as long as I put it out there with no type of doubts in my head that the universe will give back to me what I'm asking for. Thank you, Brandon, for absolutely everything that you do. And please, any input on that dream? Well, my input on the dream, and Tatiana, thank you for taking the time to review. My input on the dream is it sounds like you had an out-of-body experience. Congratulations on that. We actually talk about out-of-body experiences on multiple episodes. My good friend Beta came on one time to share her personal experience with an out-of-body experience she had for the first time after hearing the episode with Jason Quitt, who wrote a book. I think it's called Forbidden Knowledge, if I recall, all about his out-of-body experiences. And his journeys in the astral dimension. So, yeah, you can definitely find content out there talking about this. I share my brother's story of out-of-body experiences, and you probably, if you search, hopefully, on positivehead.com, you can actually find those episodes by keywords. Search out-of-body experiences, or my brother, or Beta is my friend, Bita, who came on and talked about it. So these are all episodes where I talk a lot about that sort of experience. So, yes, I would say that you did have an out-of-body experience from what I'm hearing, but at the end of the day, only you can really decide what's going on there. And I would say, also cheers to you for continuing to work on yourself and catch yourself when you're out of alignment, right? So when you're feeling aggravated, it's like the speed bumps on the side of the freeway when you're drifting off. It's an indicator to you that you're not in alignment with higher self. Higher self is not aggravated. Higher self can be the space for it all. It allows it all to be, and without reactivity, right? Being proactive beings instead of reactive beings. That's the switch we're all working on making. And I know for me, having a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, that certainly works to my advantage. But at times, it's certainly been difficult for me when it comes to aggravation. As you guys have heard me talk about, I can get agitated with people not being fast enough or doing things the way I want. Having employees. I've had, a lot of employees in my life. And that's been a great lesson for me, because you realize people don't think necessarily the same, act the same. And so you got to learn to just be the space for what's arising. And it seems like you're on that path. You're getting that. And so congratulations to you on that awareness when you're out of alignment, because a lot of times we're out of alignment and we don't realize that we're out of alignment, and we stay out of alignment, and then we stack thoughts on top of thoughts that continue to take us further and further and further out of alignment. So, what Abraham would say about this, who we've, had clips, her talking about before, is, if you're really out of alignment and then you catch yourself, it's hard to go from super, negative, let's say, to super positive. Like all of a sudden you're going to make that jump. Instead, reach for neutral thoughts, right? That's sort of the bridge. If you can reach for neutral thoughts, you can find your way back. And that's sort of the best piece of advice I've heard on it. Reach for those neutral thoughts and ultimately reframe, restate what it is that what you're thinking, right? And realizing that you have the control to do that is the most powerful thing ever. Most of us have lived our whole lives as sort of victims to these thoughts that arise, not realizing that we can control them and rethink them and change them. And I believe it's one of the most powerful things you can possibly do to rethink a thought. Like you catch yourself, you have that negative thought, and there, I did it again. Darn it. But guess what? Bringing awareness to the fact that you just did that and it's out of alignment. Do you understand what a huge step that is? What a huge feather in your cap? That is the beginning of the end of you doing that, right? So stop being so difficult on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. When you catch yourself, say, I caught myself. Instead of beating myself up and making it worse, right? I'm going to acknowledge that I caught this happening, and I'm going to choose to reframe it and rethink what I just thought in a way that is at the very least neutral and maybe positive, depending on where you're at, right? And that is a very, very, very powerful practice. Just becoming aware when you're out of alignment, stopping yourself, let me redo that. Oh, retake, and that's the thing. You can do retakes, and energetically, that's such a powerful thing to do. It starts rewiring your brain. Next thing you know, down the road, you automatically are thinking, not that you'll never have a negative thought again, but you're automatically on this path of thinking in a certain way. We know, we've looked at the science. You can actually check out the documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? There's a whole segment on that, on how we rewire our brains based off of, negative, positive thoughts. And it actually shows like visualizations, how your brain rewires itself based off of what you're doing and what you're thinking, rather. So it's actually making changes in your physiology. It's changing your brain chemistry and how things are linked up, how wired up. So, all right. Well, if you guys, like I said, haven't reviewed on iTunes, please do so. And if not, that's okay too. You can, of course, join us on the Facebook group. We get a lot of questions in there, and I'm going to address a couple of those questions today. And if you're not on the Facebook group, it's Positive Heads with an S. And it's a private group, so you can open up, get personal if you feel so inclined to ask personal questions that you may not want the rest of the world, the Facebook world, to see. And we'd love to see you in there. There's a lot of lovely soul family there connecting, constantly expanding. And by the way, guys, invite your friends, anyone that those of you who have been in for a while. If you have friends that you think would benefit, maybe that's an easy intro for them into this sort of this world that we're all sort of riding the waves of, awakening and self-realization and mindfulness and spirituality. And maybe that's a really good intro for some of your friends, to invite them just into the Facebook group, just to even observe. So you all have the ability to do that by adding people. So just to throw that out there. The other thing, I can't remember if I mentioned yet, a lot of you guys have been wanting playlist for all the songs that we play on the Daily Show outros. And there's been some stuff on SoundCloud for a while, and that's actually been getting caught up recently. With a big thanks to Lex for doing so. Alexa has been not only setting up, adding additional stuff onto the SoundCloud page, and that's soundcloud.com /positive head. You can not only hear the episodes there, but you can also hear all the music, as well as on Spotify. There's now a Spotify playlist with all the songs, the Positive Head Podcast Songs playlist. So if you search the Positive Head Podcast Songs on Spotify, you'll see the playlist. You can follow that playlist and you will have access to all the music. So just wanted to throw that out there. And moving right along, let's jump into a couple of these questions that we have today to address. So this one came in from Madison on the Facebook group. And Madison said, "Hey there, Brandon, and all you beautiful P-heads. I'm new to the group and absolutely love seeing all the posts on here. The P-head fam really makes this feel like a comfortable and safe environment to share and ask questions. So I'm finally going to ask for some advice from y'all." Madison must be in the South. I lived in Virginia. I grew up in Virginia. I know a y'all when I see it. Y'all. I've been listening to the podcast for about 5 months now, and I absolutely love it. I recently subscribed to Gaia after hearing about it on the show, and I've been having so much fun perusing it. However, after spending hours, I know a little excessive, watching documentaries and series on there, I feel like my brain is going to explode. I am in the fragile beginnings of my spiritual journey, and I'm a scientist by profession. Oh, you should definitely check out What the Bleep Do We Know then. So a lot of the material on there seems extremely hard to wrap my head around. I've been interested in conspiracy theories and outer space, etc. since I was a child. So while I find all of this stuff fascinating and some of it revolutionary even, I guess I'm having a hard time filtering through what is really true and what is BS. Being very new to most of the topics Brandon talks about on the show, I try to choose videos and articles that resonate with me and that I feel attracted to, but then seem to fall down the rabbit hole again and find myself looking up thinking, how did I get here again? Any advice from my fellow P-heads out there for navigating through the tangled web of information on spirituality, Gaia, or otherwise? Many thanks. Well, this is a great question, and it's one that, especially if you're new to this whole realm, right? There is a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of people end up down the conspiracy theory sort of vein, if you will. Aliens and the Illuminati and all these things, and, I'm not saying none of that stuff is true. I believe there's, personally, there seems to be an awful lot of evidence of, UFO activity, and a lot of people who claim to have had experiences. Certainly a lot of evidence out there. And same with is there a system that's controlling this planet that is manipulating things? Well, when 5 families or whatever have half the money of the entire planet, I'd say so. Now, I could choose to focus on a lot of the conspiracy theory stuff and really get in a frightful state energetically. I can really get myself upset and worried and scared. And that's the thing I would caution anyone about. I'm, you guys know me at this point who've been listening. I'm the infinite child. I am definitely the little boy with his hand in the cookie jars. I'm very interested in all these things. I'm fascinated, but I take them lightly. I keep it light because I know my number one job is to manage my vibration. So, Madison, I think you're right on when you talked about, I try to choose videos and articles that resonate with me and that I feel attracted to, right? If you're feeling, how is it making you feel? That is the question. What are you watching? Are you watching things that are kind of conspiracy-esque? And there's certainly some of that stuff on Gaia, and there's all kinds of transformational, related stuff, more sort of focused on how do I improve myself in my life and get to the next greatest and grandest version of myself. There's a lot of that on there. There's a lot of yoga stuff on there. I mean, they have a lot of content. So I would just see, how is this making me feel? Always check in. Always check in with yourself vibrationally. It's if something is starting to elicit fear responses and things like that and get you into a state of worry. It's like someone had written in not too long ago talking about how they were so obsessed with the political stuff happening and they were just feeling awful. And then they started tuning into the podcast and it helped to turn things around for them. Same kind of thing. You can tune into that stuff and it's like eating, Doritos and Ho-Hos all day. I mean, it's junk for your body if it's causing you fear. Now, I may watch something that's conspiracy-esque and keep it light and it doesn't really, I'm like, oh, this is fast. I could see it through the lens of, wow, this is fascinating. What a fascinating experience to put myself into 3D reality and into a system that is controlled by this Illuminati or, whatever you want to call it. And the cabal, you hear different things, as David Wilcock, I think, refers to it, who has a big presence on Gaia. He talks a lot about this stuff, right? And I can look at it personally where I'm at and say, wow, this is really fascinating that I've chosen to incarnate in 3D and experience a reality where I have the opportunity to be the light, right? And and there's other souls that have given me the opportunity to help to overcome the control structure that's put in place. And I can feel really good about that and not fearful and say, hey, as long as I'm resonating at a high vibration, I'm going to be just fine. I will attract, reflections of what I'm putting out. And I feel confident in myself moving into that space and even looking at some of this information and keeping it in a vibrational space that doesn't make me feel bad. Now, if you're new to this stuff, Madison, you may look at that and it makes you feel awful and scared and fearful and all those things. So if that's happening, move away. So we're all different. We're all different. And by the way, guys, there's a reason I don't watch horror movies. There's a reason I don't watch a lot of things that are super fearful and fear-based because I'm not giving my energy to it. Where attention goes, energy flows. I don't need to give I can be aware of certain things. I can entertain certain ideas and concepts and say, okay, maybe that is the way it is. Maybe not. All I know is I create my own reality, and anything negative out there is really creating the contrast for me to be the light that I'm choosing to be, right? Because without the dark, there is no light. By the way, where does a lighthouse go? It doesn't go in the middle of the city. It goes in the darkness where there's needed light, right? So this is an important thing to realize. So you really, Madison, just check yourself. Just check yourself. And, how did I get here again? She said, well, if you're going down or you've slipped down a hole that doesn't feel good, just course correct. That's all you got to do. So, if you constantly check in with myself and ask yourself, how is this making me feel? Where's my vibration at right now? You'll know the answer instantly. And then you decide whether you continue down that hole or you go pull up something else that is, going to take you into a different vibrational state. So, thank you for writing in. And you guys, by the way, you can not only write in questions on the Facebook group, you can also write it in to me directly, Brandon at positivehead.com, through the positivehead.com website. You can just go through the contact page. And I love getting your questions. So I have one more I'm going to address here quickly. This is Jen, who also wrote in on the Facebook group. Jen said, I'm curious on the topics of psychics, mediums, etc. Not in an are they real way, as I have a strong belief that many do have this gift, but in a law of attraction way. In many cases, or at least my case, I feel we look to them for answers or when we were feeling lost, and I wonder if that manifests into distrust in the universe. I tend to do the same with astrology as well. If things are flowing in my life and I do not feel a lack of anything, I know that lack is an illusion, but still working on that, I realize I don't seek these things as much as I would when I'm in a period of great uncertainty. I enjoy getting readings and studying astrology regularly, but I'm wondering if by seeking them out, I'm seeking answers. Therefore, I'm telling the universe that I don't trust it. I'm wondering how to still enjoy these things without setting the wrong intentions. Sometimes I feel like this whole spirituality and manifestation thing has a lot of catch-22s. Great question, Jen. And I would say that you are, once again, it's similar to the last question. How are you feeling? What is the state that you're going into? Just to give you some personal experience, when I first had a psychic reading, I was blown away. And I've talked about this in other episodes. Then I sought another one, and then another one, and then another one. And then I started realizing, hold on, what am I doing here? And then I started stumbling into some people who were trying to get me to buy soap with gold flakes in it to wash away the things that were going to end up, I think she was saying I was going to be paralyzed if I didn't give her $500 and come back regularly or something. And then I realized, hold on. And that was very early on my journey, and it was a great lesson though. So I personally set the intention of, I'm not proactively seeking out a reading. Now I've had them come to me through the show now, right? And I've had quite a few in the last year. I went a decade with hardly any, and then had quite a few in the last year with interviewees, and, just had Colby Psychic Rebel on as a co-host the other day. And she read me on her first time she was on the show a year ago. And so I talked about, in the previous question, approach it with levity. Keep it light. Yes, this stuff is real, I would say. Yes, you can have all kinds of experiences. Just don't give your power away to it. So, I want to explore this stuff because I enjoy it. I enjoy astrology. But at the end of the day, I realize all the answers are within me. Your own intuition, your own gut, work on your own psychic ability for yourself, because you have the answers within you. And so if you're having an experience with someone and it's light and you're taking it with a grain of salt to a certain degree, not to say that the accurate coming through the psychic isn't completely accurate. But when you realize it's potential realities, right? There's never a definitive. First off, it's not an exact science, because it's an art, right? It's this very sensitive energy vibration that they're tapping into, and they're perceiving what they perceive. And by the way, they're perceiving it through the filter of their own mind and consciousness. And so, that can definitely cause hiccups, right? And then you have alternate realities. It's like the person first time I had a reading. I see you in a cold place like Chicago working in business. I was planning to move to Chicago and work in business. I see another path for you in music in California. Well, I ended up taking that path. But what was she seeing? The potential Brandons based off of the vibration I was emitting at the moment I was sitting in front of her. Which way could I fall, if you will? Which path would I choose? And I'm choosing it with my vibration. So someone could tell you something, and then you completely alter your vibration. You completely change how you feel, and all of a sudden you choose a different path by doing that. And so what she saw doesn't mean it was even inaccurate. It's just that you chose a different path after the fact. So There's no absolutes. Our life plays out at the corner of free will and destiny. It's all already happened. Time is an illusion, right? So there's your destiny piece. Free will is there's infinite versions of you, infinite timelines, and you're choosing based off your vibration which one you step into. Of course, you want to step into the greatest and grandest version, the one that's the most rewarding, the most fulfilling. And the good news is you've already done it because there's no time. So that should reassure you that you can and have achieved this. The question is, will you achieve it again? Will you call it forward to display as a reflection in your movie this time? The movie that is your life, where you're the lead director, actor, actress in your own movie, right? Everyone else is props, including me. I'm a prop in your movie, reflecting a part of your consciousness that is, resonating with this information and reflecting it back to you. This is your information. What you see in me is a part of you. So whatever potential I have, you have. It's all one. It's all the same. It's all in you. So you don't need it outside of yourself. But that being said, can it be awfully fun to explore and play with an open mind with some bit of levity, not, oh my gosh, my psychic said this, I'm doomed. My whole life. Now you create it by giving all your power away. So do it with a sense of levity and not giving your power away, and know that everything is changeable. There are infinite timelines. There are no absolutes. So if you get some information you don't like, cool, then you can choose to change it. So that would be my advice for you. Trusting yourself, keeping it light, understanding that it is not where your power lies, because your true power to understanding how to create what you see next is within yourself and your own inner guidance system. That you are the best possible psychic. You are, the Michael Jordan of psychics when it comes to yourself. So work on that. And how do you do that? By learning to align with higher self and listen to your gut, listening to your own intuition. And the more you work that practice out, the more, the stronger it gets, like working any muscle out, right? So start working out your own psychic muscle. All right, everyone. Well, we're out of imaginary time for this episode, but I certainly had an amazing time. I hope you did as well. I will be back. And until then, I'm going to leave you with some music that I adore. This is Frameworks. The song is Save It All, featuring Aileen Rhiannon. Beautiful track. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well.